Hello and welcome back to the Shmee channel. Today we're reacting to Bleacher Report's articles saying every team's updated 2021 free agent big board. Going to be an exciting video, and we're going to see what he says for our Hornets, because I don't really know what we're going to do in free agency. If we're going to pay our guys, if we're not going to pay, Devontae Graham, Malik Monk, and who we're going to sign in free agency. I'm hoping our ownership sees a center that they like in free agency. There's going to be a few out there, Hassan Whiteside, Rashard Holmes, that we could maybe pick up. So I'm hoping, but let's get right into this article. Subscribe if you want to. Atlanta Hawks, let's see what they got. So bringing back John Collins, as they say here, Patty Mills, and Frank Ntilikina. So bring back John Collins if they want to pay. It's going to be interesting what he asked for going into the offseason. I don't think he's a max contract player. I know he thinks he is. I know his camp is pushing for him to be a max contract player and to get that type of money, but I don't think he is. Patty Mills, it looks like they're going for backup point guards. I mean, Frank Ntilikina is a good defensive backup to Trey, and that's kind of what they need. Patty Mills is going to give them some more scoring. That's kind of what Lou Will does, though, right now. So, yeah, okay. Not really, like, out of this water moves, though, so it's interesting. So, Boston Celtics bringing back Evan Fournier. It'll be interesting with him as well, what he asked for. He got a pretty hefty contract right now. They use their trade exception on him. No, I'm not talking to Siri. I feel like that happens like every game or in every video I make. Evan Fournier, I guess. I don't know if he raises their ceiling to the extent that they want to. I think if you bring in an Otto Porter, it's going to be way better for your overall team than Evan Fournier. Obviously, Otto Porter isn't a better player necessarily than Evan Fournier, but I think he just fits better with that team. Paul Millsap's kind of washed, so I don't know. Brooklyn Nets, how can they get better? Bringing back Spencer Dinwiddie, I do not see him bringing back Spencer Dinwiddie at all. That's just my opinion. I don't think they're going to bring him back. But it is interesting they didn't trade him at the deadline, so maybe they throw a curveball. They're looking at centers in this offseason, which makes sense because DeAndre Jordan is just not it for them. Nicholas Claxton's been okay, so Nerlens Noel and Joel Embiid is decent, I guess. Nerlens Noel has been fine this year as a defensive center. Charlotte Hornets, baby. Okay. We got Bogdanovich in the picture, and we got Andre Drummond. Also, I don't know why I'm wearing these AirPods, because I'm not listening to any audio. So for the Charlotte Hornets, let's see what we got, man. So all centers, Andre Drummond, Montrezl Harrell, and Rashard Holmes. I like it. Out of these three, probably I'm going to throw a curveball right now. Probably Rashard Holmes. I know many Hornets fans might want Montrezl Harrell. I don't think anybody wants Andre Drummond. Even if he wins a chip this year with the Lakers, I still wouldn't want him for what he gives you out there. It's just not worth it. Makes too many goofy plays. But Rashard Holmes, why I would want him over Montrezl Harrell? I was gonna make a video about Rashard Holmes maybe coming to the Hornets, but why I would want him over Montrezl Harrell? Montrezl Harrell already showed that he doesn't want to be in Charlotte. He doesn't want to be in the Queen City. He declined our salary option, which was I think like a good amount more than the Lakers offered him last offseason, and he didn't accept that. So why would he want to be in Charlotte? That's why I wouldn't really want him in Charlotte, because if he's already expressed that he doesn't want to be here, why offer a contract even if he is a good center? So Rashard Holmes, down to earth, hard worker, gets boards, pretty good defensively, very good offensively. I would take him. So for the Bulls, I see Devontae Graham. Oh man. I did not expect, coming into this video, I just expected to be like really knowledgeable about what my Hornets would do, and I didn't even think about like the players that we won't like re-sign in the offseason and could go somewhere else. So Devontae Graham on the Bulls, how would he fit as an undersized guard? That means they're probably maybe they're doing a sign and trade with Kobe White. I mean, Lauri Markkanen's gone for them in the offseason. I don't even think they're doing a sign and trade with Lauri Markkanen. I just think he's gone. for the Bulls. But for Kobe White, I do see a world where they, keep him as a backup. But to Devontae Graham, I don't know. On the Bulls, I'd have to really sit down and think about that. But oh man, okay. Who else do they got here? T.J. McConnell. I think that's a better option because I think I would have Kobe White as my backup point guard, honestly. And I don't think T.J. McConnell is that much like he's better than Kobe White, obviously, but I think he better serves as a backup point guard, so that means Kobe White is still starting for them. And in this article, they say they're bringing back Lauri Markkanen. I don't see it in any world. Cleveland Cavaliers bring back Jared Allen. I think that's, that's a no-brainer. He's been really good for them. A backup point guard in Ish Smith might provide some veteran leadership, and Isaiah Hartenstein. I've noticed his name thrown around the ring for my Hornets. He's not that good. I'd rather have Cody Zeller over this guy. I know he's pretty young though. I don't know if it shows his age. He's only 22 years old, but I don't know what upside he really has. Averaging 9.7 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, and okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't really been noticing this guy, but maybe we should offer him a contract. Maybe as a backup center, and we sign Rashard Holmes as well. It's a possibility. So for the Mavericks, what do the Mavericks need? Like shooting, probably. If they signed DeMar DeRozan, wow. I didn't know Duncan Robinson's a unrestricted free agent too. He was undrafted, so that does make sense that he's unrestricted. But wow. I don't think Gary Trent Jr. leaves the Raptors. I think the Raptors are going to offer him the most amount of money, so I don't see him leaving. He's also restricted, so you got that. DeMar DeRozan, though, I do see a world where he goes back to the Spurs. I know there's a bunch of speculation about, him going to the Miami Heat, him going, I guess, to the Mavs right here, but I do see him going back to the Spurs because I think, it keeps him as a pretty good playoff team, and I think that's what Pop is at this point of his career. He just wants to make the playoffs. He wants to compete. He doesn't want to be on a rebuilding team. And Duncan Robinson, just another shooter. I would like to see Duncan stay on the Miami Heat. I don't know if there's a world where he does, but I would like to see that because I like Duncan Robinson. I listen to his podcast all the time. So for the Nuggets, you got Will Barton, Victor Oladipo, and Derrick Rose. So for the Nuggets, Will Barton re-signing him, I guess. I would rather pick up both these guys over re-signing Will Barton, although he's having a great season. Victor Oladipo on the Nuggets, they could have traded for him like at the deadline. That's like for what Miami had to give up. Like the Nuggets could have gave that up for Victor Oladipo. I guess they went for Aaron Gordon, but I think Victor Oladipo would fit pretty well on that team. They got Gary Harris as their 2 right now, and I think Victor Oladipo is a lot better than Gary Harris right now. Gary Harris peaked 2 or 3 years ago. He hasn't really been the same since. And Derrick Rose as a backup point guard, he can be anywhere as a backup point guard, honestly. So the Detroit Pistons, a rebuilding team. Let's see who they got. So they got Talen Horton-Tucker re-signing Hamidou Diallo, something like that, and Josh Hart. If they got Josh, I don't want to get myself out there. I don't think the Pelicans are gonna let Josh Hart go. He's kind of like a heart and soul of that young team. He doesn't really do too much out there. He just gets rebounds. He's like a 6'5" center, as they like to call him. So Talen Horton-Tucker, the Lakers, if they don't get too smart with their money, they're probably going to have to give away, either a Montrezl Harrell, a Dennis Schroeder, or a Talen Horton-Tucker. So it's kind of their option what they want to keep there. And I guess the worst of those players is Talen Horton-Tucker, so maybe they do let him go. For the Warriors, I see Daniel Tice right here. Jeff Green and Kelly Oubre, re-signing Kelly Oubre. That's an interesting take to re-sign Kelly Oubre. Do they do it? I don't know. With Klay Thompson coming back, that's a pretty crowded front court, if you ask me, or back court. Excuse me. So Jeff Green fits with any team. That's a pretty no-brainer if the Warriors want to be truly good. He can be like the Andre Iguodala type for their small ball 5. And Daniel Tice, I guess. Houston Rockets, another interesting team. So signing Kelly Oubre doesn't really fit their timeline as a rebuilding team, if I'm going to be honest. And I guess maybe Lauri Markkanen. They're at this point where they can just take a flyer on a player that's not been good for their first team as they've been drafted to, like a Lauri Markkanen. So they do have the power to take flyers and hand out these contracts because they are a rebuilding team and they might strike big. I mean, you see with the Magic in their Vucevic trade that that the Bulls trade away Wendell Carter, and Wendell Carter's doing amazing for the Magic. So Markkanen on the Rockets could be interesting, and re-signing Kelly Olynyk, why not? You got money to give out. Kelly Olynyk's fine. Pacers, Alex Caruso, TJ McConnell, and Kendrick Nunn. I was going to make a video on the Pacers. I think I've said I was going to make a video on the Pacers for the last 5 of these videos, but oh man, I thought they were a bona fide top 5, maybe top 6 seed. They're like the 9 seed right now. I just had these high expectations for them. None of these players really make them better. Obviously, I think it is smart to re-sign TJ McConnell, even if he's going to ask for a lot of money, which he probably is for what he's offering out there as a backup point guard. Alex Caruso, I would much rather have TJ McConnell as a backup point guard than any of these guys. Let's see who else we got. The Clippers. Re-signing Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's one of those guys where nobody knows what he's really like. You see those rumors to the Warriors. I don't know how they get out, because the only person that knows what Kawhi Leonard wants to do in this free agency is fucking Kawhi Leonard. I don't even think his wife knows what Kawhi Leonard wants to do. So I don't know if he stays with the Clippers. That's probably the most interesting free agent thing that we have this the most interesting player we have this free agency is probably Kawhi Leonard. Re-signing Serge Ibaka and getting Otto Porter. Otto Porter is one of those guys that makes sense on the Clippers. He's kind of that Nick Batum type. So yeah, the Lakers re-signing Dennis Schroeder. Okay, re-signing all their guys. If they can make the money work, I guess. But I don't think they will, because they have someone else on the free agency market this year as well. I think they have to let one of these guys go. I think there's going to be another player in free agency that they're going to pick up, and they're going to let one of these guys go. Unless they win a championship, which that, kind of all these players are going to come back if they win a championship. That's just a reality. If they can make the money work, that is. Oh, so the Grizzlies... re-signing Justice Winslow, I do think that's pretty smart for the Grizzlies. Signing Tim Hardaway Jr. and signing Doug McDermott. I guess I don't really. I mean, the Grizzlies are at an interesting spot right now where it's kind of hard to know what to do. They're in between rebuilding and in between not rebuilding. I think they're 8th in the West right now, which is pretty good. So the Miami Heat getting Kyle Lowry. Getting DeMar DeRozan and re-signing Duncan Robinson. I think re-signing Duncan Robinson is a pretty good deal. He's never going to get too low as a player. He's pretty consistent, but he's not going to raise your ceiling. You're taking a flyer on an old Kyle Lowry. You're taking a flyer on a DeMar DeRozan who needs the ball in his hands. He's shown his playmaking ability more in these last 2 seasons, but Duncan Robinson just fits with any NBA team, so it's going to be interesting what the Heat do as well. So for Milwaukee Bucks, you got Bobby Portis, re-signing him. He's been amazing for them this season as their backup. I guess he has started. Has he? I don't know. He's just fulfilled their role when Giannis is not on the court of just being that guy you give the ball to and just scores. They got Chris Middleton that does that, but Chris Middleton has off nights pretty regularly. So Bobby Porter's just a great signing last offseason. I think they only gave him a 1-year contract maybe. So maybe that's why they want to re-sign him again. But Victor Oladipo on the Bucks does not fit their culture. I am from Green Bay, Wisconsin, so Milwaukee's not that far. And I have grown up on Milwaukee. I've not grown up on the Charlotte Hornets, even though I'm a fan. But the Bucks culture, it's just not what Victor Oladipo is. It's really not. Derrick Rose in a Bucks jersey would be weird as fuck as well. So the Timberwolves, let's see who we got. Paul Millsap on the... Okay, so yeah, they are going to look for a power forward that fits alongside Cat, which I think we've been saying for the last 5 years or however long he's been in the league, because they cannot just figure out how to put a good power forward next to him. Jaden McDaniels for the Timberwolves has been fine this season, but he's not a permanent guy. He's like what Jalen is on the Hornets. He's a backup guy that gives you good minutes, but he's not no starting power forward. So I don't think Paul Millsap's the answer. PJ Tucker, they're not at that stage of that team's career where they should be signing a PJ Tucker. I don't know why they're trying to go after veteran power forwards. I don't know why Bleacher Report thinks they're going to go after a veteran power forward, because they're not going to be good next season. Maybe if they're all healthy, they'll be like an 8 seed at best. But the Timberwolves are just... I feel bad for Timberwolves fans, because they're either mad that they're losing, but they're going to get a top 4 pick, or they're happy that they're winning and they're not going to get that top 4 pick. There's no... it's hard to be a Timberwolves fan right now. Pelicans, Lonzo Ball. I don't see Lonzo Ball re-signing. I'm just gonna state that right now. PJ Tucker and Paul Millsap. You really need a power forward or center that can space the floor with Zion. PJ Tucker can do that. He can just sit in the corner and shoot threes. He can guard. Probably not the team's best player on the other team, but he can guard like the second best player, the third best player on the opposing team. Paul Millsap, I don't really have an opinion on, if you guys haven't already picked up on that yet, but I don't really have an opinion on Paul Millsap. He's fine. I don't think he's an answer for most NBA teams' problems. So for the Knicks, Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul, and Lonzo. Okay. Knicks fans, I don't know how many of you watch my videos, but you are not getting Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul, maybe Lonzo Ball. But why get your hopes up? Why get your hopes up on these guys? Just bring back Julius Randle. I should see a Julius Randle name right here, because he is a free agent or restricted. Nah, he might have a team option this offseason, but I'd rather bring back Julius Randle than pick up Lonzo Ball. I don't think you guys are getting Chris Paul or Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, although he has switched to a big market team in the Clippers, I don't see him going to the Knicks. Maybe you guys can clip that, and when he does, you guys can let me know. But for the Thunder, Talen Horton-Tucker would probably be the most realistic. He's probably going to be thrown around in this free agency if the Lakers don't win the title, so that's going to be interesting. Lonzo Ball and the Thunder, a little too old. The Thunder are really, really rebuilding. Their lineup is 20 years or younger throughout their whole roster. I think that's the average for their team. So Lonzo Ball being already 23, I guess he fits that with Shea. How does he fit with Shea? Because they both need the ball in their hands. Lonzo does kick it out to shooters, but I don't know. Gary Trent Jr., the Raptors aren't giving him up. For the Magic, another rebuilding team, Malik Monk. I knew he was going to be thrown around. At some point. I was surprised he wasn't on, the Lakers free agency big board, but I don't want to say I told you so, guys, but I mocked this trade. At the deadline, I said Malik Monk for Mo Bamba. Didn't happen. We could still do a sign and trade. And would I be okay with that as a Hornets fan? I totally would. Yeah. I didn't even need to think about that. Mo Bamba, really, really high upside. If we can do a sign and trade with the Magic, I think Malik Monk would be fine on the Magic. Duncan Robinson on the Magic doesn't fit their timeline. Duncan Robinson's already 27 years old. Kelly Oubre, don't know why the Magic would want him at all. For the 76ers, Victor Oladipo is going to be passed around like a damn blunt this offseason, so it's not surprising that he's in all these free agency rumors or just thrown around in this article. So Danny Green re-signing him. He has been pretty decent for them. And Gorgie Jane as a backup center. Who's their backup center right now? I think Mike Scott plays power forward. I'm not sure who their backup center is for the 76ers. So Gorgie Jenks still got something left in the tank. For the Suns, Chris Paul, that's pretty obvious that they're probably going to re-sign Chris Paul. He's been the best player on their team above Devin Booker. Getting a backup point guard in Goran Dragic, okay. And getting Josh Richardson, okay. I don't really know how they can make their team better. It's going to be interesting what they do, because all these contending teams, their free agency is going to be based on how well they do in the playoffs. So if the Suns make the finals, I'm not saying they're winning the finals because I don't have them win, but say they make it out of the West into the finals, they're not gonna deal away, or they're not gonna make a big free agency move, because look at what the Miami Heat did this offseason. Like, they moved around Jay Crowder. They didn't really move him around, but Jay Crowder moved around himself. And they didn't really make any big moves outside of that. So if the Suns make it like deep in the playoffs, I don't expect them to bring in a Goran Dragic. I don't expect them to bring in a Josh Richardson. That's just my opinion, though. So for the Blazers, re-signing Norman Powell. I mean, if you traded for him and gave away a younger player who's a restricted free agent, you better bring back Norman Powell, the guy you traded for, who's an older guy and unrestricted. So it's kind of scary if they end really badly, if the chemistry doesn't work, and Norman Powell just is out of there because he's unrestricted. So the Blazers better hope that he re-signs back with them. And getting Patty Mills as backup point guard. Patty Mills seems like a lifer on the Spurs, so I don't know about that. And David Nwaba, no comment. Sacramento Kings, Nerlens Noel, Richard Holmes. Okay, the Sacramento Kings desperately need a center as well. So I guess all these guys fill that. I mean, if they can re-sign Richard Holmes, I think Richard Holmes is gone. I think like he's like the one guy in free agency where I'm confident that we could make a stab at him. I'm confident that ownership sees that he's a good player, sees that he fits our culture, and will offer a contract. Spurs, John Collins, re-signing DeMar DeRozan. Lauri Markkanen would be perfect on the Spurs. I love this. I think Lauri Markkanen on the Spurs would be amazing. Just learning from all the vets there. If they re-sign Patty Mills and all those guys, he doesn't really have high expectations anymore. That would be a perfect spot. I do think they are gonna re-sign DeMar DeRozan as well. Raptors re-signing Gary Trent Jr. That's pretty obvious. Kyle Lowry and Andre Drummond. Okay, I mean there were some rumors for Drummond to go to the Raptors, but that was before they were a bad team, and Drummond is just ring chasing right now. So Utah Jazz, Mike Conley, re-signing him. Nicholas Batum. Why would any team want Nicholas Batum? Like, I guess he's been decent for the Clippers this season, so maybe that's why. And then Kelly Olynyk on the Utah Jazz. Kind of a floor spacer at that 4 position. Sometimes he plays the 5. Maybe he's a backup 5 for them. And the last team we got here, the Wizards. All centers, baby. All centers, even though they just traded for Daniel Gafford, who's been pretty decent for them. And here we go. They got him talking about Daniel Gafford has been solid at the center position. Veteran big man to make a playoff push next year. I mean, I guess I don't see Serge Ibaka wasting the last years of his career in a Wizards uniform. Maybe Richard Holmes, maybe Nerlens Noel if they're just chasing after money. But I think the Hornets can offer more money to Richard Holmes than the Wizards can. But that's going to be it for me, guys. If you like these videos, subscribe, like, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys later.